A very good morning to you. Now today we're going to speak about the whole idea of managing an aging population in Singapore. Now the reason why I brought up this subject because it is a topic that I've considered. It is a topic which I am trying to deal with even in my plantation. Now just let me give you a background of how we're going to approach this whole subject. In my plantation, I have two types of workers. The first are young. And being young, they have the physical reserves in order to do whatever needs to be done. They have the dexterity, they have the vigor, and they also have the stamina. But I also find that there are certain groups of workers who are much older. They have a wealth of experiential knowledge, but unfortunately they don't have the physical attributes in order to do the physical work. And it's sad because I find that agriculture is a type of industry whereby traditionally it has always discriminated against old people, people who have reached the point whereby they may not be able to be as effective as what they used to be when they were younger. And what I've done in my own plantation is that I've structured the work for the older workers in such a way whereby they are sympathetic to their physical limitations. I find that if I put them in, let's say, supervisory roles, whereby they take care of, let's say, the younger workers, then what I can do is I can leverage not only on their experiential knowledge, but I can also create a means for them to be gainfully employed. And I've conducted this pilot program for a period of 1 year. And so far the results appear to be very, very encouraging. And this has prompted me to ask myself a very important question. Why isn't the Singapore government doing this? Now, if you look at Mr. Lim Sui, you'll find that he spouts a lot of rubbish. Now, what did I just say? I just say he spouts a lot of rubbish. Words and phrases and axioms such as we need to be cheaper, we need to be better, we need to be betterest. But I don't think that these statements can be taken seriously. I don't think there is any basis to even consider them as solutions rather than platitudes. They are platitudes because they offer really no means for older workers to secure their position in the workforce. And the reason why I say that is because there is no way in which an older worker can possibly compete physically with a younger worker. It is not possible because there are physical limitations, and these physical limitations will militate against the whole idea of efficiency. You cannot, for example, put an older worker into a job that is designed for a younger worker. I don't think that is possible, and I expect results that are equivalent. So if you're going to create a situation of better, betterest, and cheaper, then what will happen is that you are inadvertently creating a process that discriminates against older workers. You are creating a system whereby you are setting them up for failure. And this should prompt us to really ask ourselves, should the government be doing more in order to augment or this situation whereby older workers will be eventually discriminated? Is it right for us to create working conditions whereby we set older workers up to fail? And not only that, because alongside this whole idea of failure, you have to consider the whole cost of humiliation. You have to consider the whole cost of failure and how it may affect a person. And the whole idea that putting an older worker to do a younger man's job will naturally create anxieties and concerns. So I feel that this is something that the government has been derelict. And one of the reasons why I believe this was because last year I went to Munich. And Munich, I actually touched base with Timberlinger Guilds. Now let me explain to you about Timberlinger Guilds. Timberlinger Guilds are actually a group of people who do a lot of cutting-edge research in aerodynamics. And one of the co-partners, or the people to work with, is BMW and Mercedes-Benz. And I was actually given a tour of the factory in Munich. I was also given a tour of a furniture factory in Linz. This factory is orientated on a very traditional German style of what they call Gesellschaft ist nicht Eisium. And it is an experimental system that has been implemented by the German government in order to deal with the demographic time bomb, whereby in Germany you are creating so many jobs that require these jobs to be fitted to older workers. And when I walked on the shop floor, I was surprised to see that the whole philosophy of work was completely different. For example, the work pace was designed in such a way whereby it is not designed to take into account the fastest worker, but rather the whole production throughput pace is set to the slowest worker. And not only that, you find that the whole ergonomics of the working environment was designed in such a way where older workers could even sit down. They could even create a happy condition that was sympathetic to their physical limitations. And I find that this is something that the German government seems to be taking very, very seriously. And not only Germany, but also Sweden and France and Italy and every country, even Japan, that recognizes the demographic time bomb, whereby you will eventually get more older workers than younger workers. And this is something I think that the government should really consider. It's something that Mr. Lim Sui should actually look into, if he doesn't want to make a bloody fool of himself. And my hope is that the government will actually look into this whole idea of creating work environments that are sympathetic to older workers. And if you really want a preview of the horror story of what can happen when you actually put an older worker in an environment that is completely unsuitable for them, that is designed for younger people, then all I think you have to look at is McDonald's. McDonald's is what I call a hell kitchen, because there you have a lot of retirees that are trying to pretend to be young. The work flow is designed by time and motion engineers that don't really take into account the fact that older workers are not as agile as younger workers. And so far you create conditions whereby these people are really stressed. And I really feel strongly about this whole idea whereby there is really no point in creating a workplace whereby older workers are really discriminated by default, because there's no way in which they can be as effective as younger workers. So it is not my hope, but it is my belief that the government of Singapore should perhaps pay much more attention to this area. Now, there are many things they can do. For example, they can gazette certain what you refer to as older worker work-friendly jobs. Now, I will give you an example. I do not see the point of, let's say, hiring a nubile 20-year-old or 30-year-old to work in the library. I don't see the point because it is a sedentary job. It is a job that doesn't require any physical capabilities. I do, for example, believe that these jobs should be gazetted for older workers. I don't, for example, believe that workers, especially older workers, should be subjected to the vagaries of the marketplace, whereby they are left to the employer to determine whether they are capable or not. Because if you leave everything to the capriciousness of the market, and if you leave everything to free market and price, then I feel that ultimately they will be discriminated. Now, this is something that, as a blogger, as someone who reads blogs, or someone who's clicking on this clip right now, I hope that you actually take some of these ideas, because I really don't have any attachment to whatever I say in the internet. And I take no offense to the idea that people even take chunks of what I say and flesh it out and develop it as something that is uniquely their own. So my hope is that whatever I say to you right now, you will be able to pick up and run with it. And my hope is that you will write something about this. Thank you very much, and do have a productive week.